found a plus-size Korean lady I want to poke.
Well, if you want to follow up on that story, you can follow us on Twitter at the John Hastings.
Wait a minute, No, I don't want that in the
Yeah,
sting.
it's good. That's going in the sting.
I found a plus-size Korean lady I want to poke.
That's going in the sting. Say
Jesus
your Twitter.
Christ.
That's the beginning of every episode now.
At Dylan Gott, DYLANGO, double up that T.
You can tweet at us for any corrections, any of that sweet stuff. Thank you so much for listening to the Wrestling Review. Here's the Vader theme. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Plus-size Korean ladies.
John Hastings.
Dylan Gott.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Wrestler Review. Let's talk about John Hastings.
Let's talk about the wrestler we all love, John Hastings,
talk about-
in WWE 2K16.
No, we're talking about John Hastings in WCW NWO Revenge when he renamed Chris Canyon because that's how John feels inside.
That's a trick.
Like a skull monster who's gay.
Ooh, climb Castle Grayskull. He comes up and then John has sex with a man.
All right, let's talk about AJ Styles. The phenomenal AJ Styles, I feel...
You are one of the worst. He was great.
TNA theme songs.
TNA theme songs were, you are, I am. And then later on they added people whispering,
But that's not
So
nearly
bad.
as bad as Jeff Jarrett's theme song when it was like...
Kurt Angle's was good because they just took the first part of Lunatic Fringe and then just just a bunch of weird dumb shit.
Okay, AJ Styles, I'm going to say this right off the top. It's absolutely asinine what's happened to this man's career. He has never had a good opportunity.
Yeah, he is. He's in New Japan right now. He's
in New
killing
Japan
it.
now, but you know what he could be? We could have had Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles at
Listen,
WrestleMania 30.
listen.
If I had been... don't fucking interrupt me. Vince Russo fucked this guy over, and then fucking Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan came in.
He wasted
and
a lot of his
teabagged
career.
him.
Yeah, he wasted a lot of his career. Like a lot of his career was wasted. But the silver lining is that he worked a part-time schedule in TNA, and he's doing great in Japan right now. And as long
is
as
doing
he
great in
got,
Japan.
as long as he got
you're right,
his
Dylan.
opportunity to be the top of the card, like you could go
Totally.
around in circles with the bad ideas this dude had to deal with. Like,
Yeah, well, I think that's what this podcast is all about, is going back in the circles about what this...
all right, so them trying to make him sting.
Undercutting the entire show off the top. We are filming a porn, and you just walked in and came in my face before I even delivered the pizza.
I don't think a pizza has been delivered in a pornography for upwards of 30 years.
I'm going to give it... you haven't watched the Big Sausage
I
Delivery.
just thought about that, yeah. Oh, there's a dick in it. Yeah. We could probably... This podcast could seamlessly just start a porn star review and the same people would listen.
I think that... Yeah.
That's a thing. That's
We
a
could
thing
probably even use the same names. There's got to be someone who's called the phenomenal one in porn.
Well, I just mean, like, do you ever think about how if someone had a gun to your head and was like,
Yeah.
either I pull the trigger on this thing or you look someone you respect in the eyes and I quiz you about porn stars' names, like you have to match the picture to the name and how many you would get right. Because I'm pretty sure I'm over like 200, sadly.
I wouldn't get 200. I could do a solid 50. Not even fucking batting an eye. Like Gianna Michaels, Carmella Bing,
No. No, John, no.
Jesse Jane,
Jesse Jane.
Alexis Raven.
Alexis.
Raven Alexis, sorry.
Raven Alexis. Ooh.
I like her. She does goth lesbian porn.
You know what? Raven Alexis does sound like
A goth lesbian.
valet. Yeah, a valet from the mid-90s.
Yeah, she sounds like an ECW valet.
Yeah.
And in this corner, wearing tampons because she's a woman.
Boo. You won't fuck me, and that's not my fault. It's yours.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a body that resembles a Cheeto covered in eczema. Why won't you fuck me, reasonably attractive stripper? Let's get
Speaking
to
of reasonably attracted strippers, what
talk
about
about AJ
AJ Styles? What about the fucking Claire Lynch angle? Jesus fucking Christ.
That's what I say about the. Okay. Go through the Claire Lynch angle.
From what I remember, wasn't it AJ had cheated on his wife and then
Yeah.
he got this girl pregnant and they hired an actress to play Claire Lynch, but she was really bad at acting, and then they basically pulled the plug on it with like 3 weeks left. But it was like a soap opera, and that was the main thing about TNA. What they never did with AJ Styles was they did at the beginning when they first got on TNN or a Spike, sorry. They played to his strength, which is basically like cruiserweight John Cena with worse promos, but much better in the ring. Like, he's a superhero.
But he doesn't need to do promos. He's one of those guys
Yeah.
who literally could walk in and be like, why is this guy going to win? He just did a triple axel and then kicked the fucking icing off a muffin. Like, you don't need him to walk out there and be like, oh, let me tell you about Jesus. And I mean, I'm your savior. Like,
Yeah, he's like he's a southern dude, and you have a southern wrestling product, so he does a bunch of flippity doos, and he ends up on top of a guy who is vaguely ethnic, or at least tans well, and then you got a champion. That's pretty much what they should have done. But they try to run it like WWE.
Yeah.
And some guy comes out. That was the thing. They always tried to change him. They never went with what worked. But now that he's in New Japan and he has that stupid fucking haircut and that dumb side tattoo that just says A and J. Yeah, and he wears Sting's gloves and just looks so dumb.
all right. Just to go on the Claire Lynch storyline, the reason why it was dropped is better than her being a bad actor. She quit because her real name was leaked onto the internet, and wrestling fans bombarded her with such hateful, derogatory comments to her YouTube and LinkedIn accounts.
Her LinkedIn. Not my LinkedIn. So many wrestling fans had to join LinkedIn as like angry loser.
Yeah, it's just you're at the offices of LinkedIn. Why so many people with back knee and tattoos of Ric Flair are suddenly on LinkedIn?
How come there's so many occupations people just dandruff man who do?
750 people just connected with Matt Bourne.
You can't be looking for that many security jobs at this point.
So that's why she quit. That was coming at the tail end. That was the beginning / the middle of the fucking mire muck bullshit that was the fucking what the fuck were they called? The fucking two big fucking factions in TNA. I wrote them down. Oh,
That's how
piss in my ass.
forgettable TNA is. No, the two big factions, Aces and Eights.
No, this is before Aces and Eights. It's so fucking.
This is before the last NWO angle.
Yeah,
this is another NWO angle.
You say that as a joke, but TNA. Let me just do every TNA fucking
Invasion angle?
It was not an invasion.
Oh yeah, if you go through all the TNA invasion angles,
There's like 47 invasion angles.
you can. All right, you tally up the invasion angles, and I'll say this. I want to speak on this right now. The thing that really makes AJ Styles, I think, one of the better wrestlers ever, in my opinion, is the fact that he's been having amazing matches for about more than 10 years at this point, and they've gotten better over the 10 years.
He was
Like, I watched a 2005 AJ Styles Joe match and I know they missed the boat on that one because Samoa Joe could have been the cruiserweight Vader, and like AJ Styles, if they had stuck with those size people, like make your biggest guy Abyss type thing and just kind of lop everyone else, like Billy Gunn doesn't need to be in your promotion. All that shit.
By the way, was the name I was looking for, which is the low rent TNA Four Horsemen, which is where the Jay Lethal Ric Flair sort of woo 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 promo came from, which is the only good thing that TNA has done in the last 5 years. Back to Dylan making the excellent point that AJ Styles could have been billed as essentially the TNA Hulk Hogan with a slightly different look, but yet more realistic in terms of appearance, and also give wrestling that sweet realistic tinge that it's lacked for a long time to compete with the UFC. Back to you, Dylan. Also,
I don't think they would have ever been. Listen, I don't think that TNA would have ever been on level with WWE or been able to compete with them. But I do think they could have basically taken over ROH. And they could have been bigger independent wrestling.
I agree.
And they could still be on Spike. They would be in an absolutely solid footing right now if they were just like, we are a Southern wrestling company. You know what I mean? Like, here, this Southern man is our champion. And then AJ Styles loses in like 2009 to James Storm because he's the other Southern man who's our champion. And like, you just basically turn back the clock and do NWA type storylines, but with people doing the flippity doos, and they're all like 5'8".
But that's exactly what they were doing up until them building towards their first pay-per-view. First thing I ever stole off LimeWire. First video I ever stole.
LimeWire.
Remember LimeWire?
I'd use iMesh.
I used LimeWire, and it was also, I discovered that I could get that TNA pay-per-view and also pornography. So it was a big day at the old Hastings.
Wait a minute. So that's your first download was in 2005?
For porn?
Yeah.
Video porn, because I would just do the free Windows Media previews on all the sites.
You're a monster.
That's right.
I would download pornos that I was like, they would just rename it and put it back on. I was like, this old girl again. I watched too much pornography because I know this 3 shots in. It was like Simpsons episodes back then.
I miss porn in those days because it would literally be like Mel and Tina learn about themselves, as opposed to now where it's like, yeah, Rita chokes on cum.
I don't know if it was definitely wasn't as violent as it used to be, but I don't know if it was like it was nice. It was like, this is a sex ed video and we're both adults. Like that was not it.
That's
it was
the
still
porn I was watching.
It was still like a man walks up to a woman and hands her a note that says "you're nothing," and then she nods solemnly, and then they fuck. Oh, you're not a person, are you? No, I'm not. I don't count. I'm like a fridge. I'm like a fridge with tits.
So basically,
use me. Store things in me like your big dick.
So basically, what you're saying is that AJ Styles is that woman, and every wrestling promoter that's come in to help TNA is that man. Because they fucked him. Boom. Brought it back. Let me say this about AJ Styles leading in 2005, I believe, is their first pay-per-view.
Sure.
2004, 2005, which is when they introduce... they bring in Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and Jeff Jarrett, and they become the Kings of Wrestling. One of the many NWO reboots that they do that builds towards the Macho Man Randy Savage coming out, and then it's Macho Man Randy Savage, Jeff Hardy, and AJ Styles v. the Kings of Wrestling. And Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Jeff Jarrett wrestle in Elvis get-ups. I want to point out that this is them going onto the major platform stage and trying to compete with the WWF.
No.
Yeah, that was their
No. When
That's their second monthly pay-per-view.
No, when they were on Spike, just before they were on Spike, Raven won the title from Rhino.
This is before all that.
Oh yeah, before it, yeah. I just want to say when they went on Spike, their Spike. That was when TNA was like the 6 month where it was really good because they brought in Samoa Joe. He killed everybody.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, and they did the whole X Division, like Samoa Joe knocked out Christopher Daniels.
But I'm not getting. I was getting to that. But what I'm just saying is, as they're building up towards that, so when they're trying to do like bi-monthly pay-per-views and stuff like that, AJ Styles was positioned so perfectly and how exactly he should be positioned, which was he was a strong mid-carder that I remember watching, just seeing like little shitty video clips on the internet of the X Division, and that's what made me be like, I have to watch this. This looks fucking insane.
Yeah.
And it was. And combined with they also ended fucking Triple X, the tag team, ended that pay-per-view with this amazing 6-sided steel cage match. Baby, Dusty Rhodes talked about it when he goes, you're going to go inside and you'll be surrounded by 6 sides of steel. And I just will never forget that. And it was amazing. And right there is when I fell in love with AJ Styles. He's absolutely perfect in terms of he's essentially like a weird Japanese. He's what an anime artist draws of an American man. Like, he's stoic and Christian, can't speak, but kicks a lot.
Yeah. He's great in the way he wrestles.
He's from the future. His vests have hoods.
The way he wrestles was like, it's like a superhero, man. Like the way he does the springboard elbow, the springboard forearm, where he reaches way back and hits people. He never fucks up a move. I don't think I've ever seen him fuck up that backflip, reverse DDT he's done. I've never seen him fuck up the Pele. He sells like a fucking super demon. That doesn't make any sense. He sells very well.
Yeah, why did you have to metaphor that up?
He had amazing facials.
Dylan, if you've learned nothing from this episode.
I said amazing facials.
I was about to say. Does everything have to come back to porn?
Yeah, does. He takes it in the face, man.
He did start taking it in the face because they go on Spike. And then
but it's just, yeah.
It's so bad, particularly for AJ Styles.
Particularly.
particularly for AJ Styles. Oh boy, does he take it in the pooper. Because they come off of some amazing matches. That fucking triple threat match, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and AJ Styles, so good. Raven's the champion. Why they didn't build towards AJ Styles?
No, that's.
I'm just going different. I'm jumping around now.
Okay.
But I'm also saying, so when Raven becomes the champion, they immediately go into a program where it's Jeff Jarrett, Raven. Why wouldn't you do Raven, AJ Styles? And you could do it sort of both tweeners. You could make AJ Styles a heel, and he's like do that classic Eddie Guerrero, like you're a drug addict, you're unclean, you don't deserve to be champion, and kind of put Raven as like the anti-hero babyface. It would have been so fucking amazing.
But I don't know,
and
man.
Also, AJ Styles he's one of those wrestlers that can work with anyone. You could put him in the ring with a broom, which, let's be honest, that's what Raven's been since about 2001.
Ooh.
Braided hair broom, you fucking...
Yeah, when you got off the Jack pills, you got bad.
Yeah, listen, let's just put it this way. Moppy, Saturn's X-Squeeze.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, so fucking
He
bad.
was a mop.
Yeah, he had a mop that he was in love with.
I just mean, all right, when they start out on Spike,
Talk to me.
Jarrett wanted himself as the champ because a good point that he's like he's been higher ranked on other companies basically, like towards the end of WCW as a champion, so maybe you give him the title, whatever. I get what Jeff Jarrett wanting to have himself as the champion of his company coming on to a network. He can only trust himself. Raven's fucking flip-flopped to the past. I understand that. The thing I don't understand is because they were doing it like separate weight divisions. They were kind of doing it like X division and heavyweight don't really
they never
coincide,
mix.
and they close some pay-per-views with the X division where it starts to get kind of lose its footing. Because like the angles were all right, because this is around the time they get the Dudleys in and they come in as Team 3D. And Jarrett has a stable with, I think it's Jarrett and the America's Most Wanted. Like, it's a good thing. It's just basic, like, his dad's booking it, so it's fucking straight out of the South in the 80s. So
his dad wasn't his dad gone by this point? Didn't his dad do the move where he showed up at fucking
where
WWF
he's like,
headquarters?
"Fuck you, my son."
And they just were like, "Look who's here. Jeff. Jeff.
Give him a job.
Jeff. What? Fuck you.
Fuck you, Jeff. No, but AJ Styles, like,
Jeff.
he's just a straight-ahead babyface. He's always been the best at that. He's a good heel now in Japan, but that's more to do with Japan.
Yeah,
I will not pretend to understand Japan because I believe if you guys watch Japanese wrestling, that's great. Enjoy buying your girls' panties out of vending machines or whatever, you weird fucking losers. No, I mean, there's parts of it, like, Japanese wrestling is amazing. But I do not
the storylines are very confusing. The whole Bullet Club thing is weird because it's like,
oh, it's just the NWO. The guy just loves the NWO.
I know, but they're the ones who
It's a
created
huge
the
mark.
NWO angle. But the Bullet Club is like, we're not here to take over. We're only controlling the titles. And they're also like, if you read about it, like, there's a lot of internet splooging because they're like, some of the Bullet Club are good guys, and some of the Bullet Club are bad guys, and some of the Bullet Club are only the Bullet Club in America, and some of them are only the Bullet Club in It's like, this is confusing. I don't understand. So the Young Bucks are the good guys, but AJ Styles is a bad guy. But then wouldn't AJ Styles wouldn't the Young Bucks be working for AJ Styles? Because champion always trumps tag team champ. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're right there, you're like, huh? Like, it just gets all fucked up. And now Jeff Jarrett's in the Bullet Club, or was, and then he left again. I don't know.
No, Jeff Jarrett was in the Bullet Club just basically to be like, Jeff Jarrett. They had Jarrett come out. He had a guy with a guitar. He was like, I'm in the Bullet Club. And then he left immediately. It was just his promotion of like going to wrestling companies. Like, I'll work for free. I just want to say Global Force Wrestling into a microphone.
Yeah. Also,
but yeah, AJ Styles, he's found his footing as a heel, which is crazy because, I mean, if you look over his career, I mean, they fucked up by putting him with Ric Flair.
What are you talking about? That was such a great angle because, as we all know, that AJ Styles, as a pious Christian man who's only had sex with one lady, he would do really well with lady's purse full of cocaine Ric Flair. Who's that man wearing a robe, taking out his dick at 65? It's Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. Yeah.
Ric Flair's the only man I've ever heard of. He's been married 5 times, I think, now.
Whoa.
And one of those marriages lasted 30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
He had a 30-year marriage?
He was married to his fucking second wife for like 25, 30 years.
Why?
Because she loved his fucking fat dick, man.
Oh, yeah.
She liked getting put in the figure 8, not the
Why
wrestling
did
move.
they leave each other?
Because she probably woke up one day and went, "Where's all my pills, Rick?" And he just went, "I made a kamikaze."
She just I can't do this.
Rick, where's all of the money? Woo!
I gave it to booze. I gave it to my friend.
And you listen to me. I drink in the morning so the voices don't talk. Woo! And then so they put it with AJ Styles. It would have a perfect feud would have been Ric Flair alluding to partying and being with, I don't know, America's Most Wanted, who were two guys whose gimmick was, or Beer Money Incorporated,
Yeah.
two guys who were drinking on fucking air,
Yeah.
not the Christian Angel.
But the thing about AJ Styles, I think that you can't make that guy a heel because his thing is work rate. I mean, it works in Japan because I feel like they separate the work rate and the moves from the character.
And also, I think
it's like, oh, that guy's a bad person, so he's bad.
Yeah, but it's also, I think that Japan also bases it on the work rate that AJ Styles is doing. He's doing a Japanese style. There's a lot of guys who can do what AJ can do. There's not a lot of American guys that can do what he can do at his age and look as good as he does. Like, he's been fucking wrestling for 25 years.
Here's the other thing. AJ Styles, I don't think there's
Also,
I don't think there's anybody that can do what AJ Styles does. I'm going to throw that out there. Like, he's RVD, but much better. Like, when you watch Rob Van Dam, when I watched Rob Van Dam in like the late 90s, I was like, how can this guy do this stuff? I haven't seen anything like this before. And then I see it 5 years later, and he's like, the Ultimate X match where he jumps from one of the 6 sides and just grabs the title. Like, he just jumps over, like, the guys in the ladder, they're doing the whole spot like, oh, I can't
Wait a
figure it
minute,
out.
is
and
that
then
the one where he
just
grabs the
it.
title, or is it the one where he grabs the X? Because he's done it twice,
Yeah, exactly.
which shows how much fucking crazy.
And the spiral, and he does, and the swanton, the shooting star, the standing shooting star out of the ring. He can just jumps out of the ring. The spiral tap, all these moves, and the guy gets everyone up for the Styles Clash, which I think is something that he's a lot like. I'll use it again, RVD in that point where it's like they didn't let RVD keep doing power moves that he did in ECW once he came to the Fed. I guess because you can't do it to everybody, but that's a little subtle thing about AJ's matches. Like, if he can lift the guy, he will lift him.
And
so it's
they
weird.
Will also he does something that I actually enjoy.
I mean,
which is that he'll struggle to do it. He'll attempt to put it on somebody. Like, he's attempted to put it on Abyss. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But he'll go for it anytime he faces Abyss.
Yeah.
And then get a fucking walloping as a result of not being able to put that move on him because he's a dumb bitch.
Because he's a dumbo. But
I think that AJ Styles, the main thing that needs to be addressed with AJ Styles.
The Pele kick is fucking insane.
Oh, fucking crazy. Is that an amazing worker? We can both agree on that. I think that for a long time he fucking was lazy and just took a check because he could be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And
I don't think if AJ Styles was ever lazy. I just don't think he...
I don't think... lazy is the wrong word. I don't think he really recognized how he was being portrayed in TNA, and staying in TNA for so long really hurt him, because I don't think he should have been brought in. The problem also is that the way the WWF seems to be recruiting people, it doesn't really work towards his style, but he should be a main eventer in the WWF and could be a main eventer in the WWF.
Yeah, but you can't think that. Like, that's just not the style, so it's just not a thing.
It just bugs the shit out of me. I just always think of, like, there was a time when the WWF could have been AJ Styles, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan. Like, that's who the fucking...
But that's the thing, though, right? Like when you look at a guy like AJ, he can't come out. He flat out cannot come out with a microphone and say, Triple H, you screwed me over. Like, do a 10-minute memorized promo. He can't do that. So, but that's the type of wrestling the WWE is. So they're not going to take.
I know. I don't know. And we've had this debate before where I go, but it shouldn't be. And then you go, well, you can't change it. And then I'll go, suck my dick. And then you're like, okay.
And it makes sense because they want to have low impact style because they want to work 300 fucking days a year.
Yeah.
And whereas TNA, it's like, oh man, why can't they wrestle like they do in TNA? Because these guys work like for TNA
like once a week to 3 times a month,
and then they take indie dates whenever the dick they ass wants, right?
What?
But that's the thing, right? I mean, the story of AJ Styles in America is missed opportunity. And honestly, I think the story of AJ Styles 5 years from now will be Wheelchair Man. Because I cannot believe the fucking shit that guy's put himself through. The Samoa Joe AJ Styles matches should be classic moments in wrestling history if TNA had just stayed the course and been like, we are for nerds. Hello, nerds.
Yeah.
Let's be nerds.
Are you into wrestling? Yes, I am.
Let's change the name of the fucking company also, please. But if they were just like straight up, here you go, nerds, then fucking he would take like Samoa Joe. There's the face wash at one point. Samoa Joe runs in and just kicks him in the face. Like he double missile drop kicks the man in the face. That's not to say AJ Styles doesn't like hit him with drop kicks that are on the chin, like actually attempting to knock him out. There's and the AJ Styles Kurt Angle matches, like when the AJ Styles match where he turns heel on Kurt Angle and does the whole Ric Flair alignment is an amazing match. Like he's an amazing wrestler. It's just TNA was trying to be little WWE or little WCW.
Yeah,
and he's not a promo guy.
No, and I could see that's why they put him with Ric Flair, but it's again, you can put him with Ric Flair the way they put Triple H with Ric Flair, which is it was never portrayed as he's out there fucking people. Instead, he's just an amazing wrestler, and Ric Flair is there to enhance because Ric Flair is also like the Babe Ruth, the Mickey Mantle of wrestling. But they went the other way, which was, and going to my original point, which is AJ Styles doesn't protect his character in the same way where he should have gone, I, as AJ Styles, will not be a guy who's out there portraying himself as someone who's fucking people and drinking, because it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't matter. I don't need it within the context of TNA.
Well, it doesn't resonate, because you can look at the guy for 2 seconds and be like, this is like a nice man.
Yeah, it's in the same way that every time Shawn Michaels goes, I'm a Christian, I always think, because he did a bunch of coke in the 90s.
This guy's a Christian as a part of AA, not just because he found God one day or whatever.
Yeah, because you have to, because if not, your wife's going to leave you.
But what was I going to say? Farts.
You were going to say farts. Did you say farts?
I think I got around to it. AJ Styles is just it's a weird combination because when you watch all his matches, he's a very basic character. He's a basic heel. The way he's a heel is like the 80s laugh.
He's
like
dastardly. I do love it. No. He's not like, if you watch the Bullet Club promos, like it's literally like the Young Bucks are like, we're gonna, and then he's just like,
I love that. But that's the thing. So he's very old school in one way. Like the way he's a face is also the like surfer early 90s. Like, I punched you. Yeah. Let's be excited about America and safe sex. You know? And that's the type of babyface he is. So it's this weird thing where I could see why they didn't want to push him that much though, because you felt the John Cena vibe with him, even though he was so fucking amazing. Even though he's such a fucking amazing worker and really a generational talent in the ring, you watch the Samoa Joe matches and the crowd just loves Samoa Joe because he's the fucking cool badass who's kicking the shit out of people.
I see.
And I like the fact that TNA never did in that era, I will say in that era, never did what the WWE has done, where they let the crowd cheer for both people, and the announcers were never like, "Oh, well, you should cheer for a." They were just like, "Just like Samoa Joe is mean," like that's what all they would do, and people would be like, and then just be like, "Crowd loves Joe," and people would cheer back and forth. And I think this is another point I wanted to make, and I'm so sorry, guys, but I think that's a really missed opportunity in wrestling as a whole. Is that they did it with Taz versus Bigelow in ECW, but just accept the fact that wrestling it's not always a hometown crowd for the babyface.
Yeah.
There's hometown, and that's what. And Taz walked out. Remember, at one time he was like, "This is about Brooklyn versus Pittsburgh next week in Brooklyn."
It was Brooklyn versus. You mean against him again?
Oh, sorry,
Bam Bam?
Brooklyn versus Jersey.
Yeah.
And then he would say,
Brooklyn versus Jersey. Is
Yeah.
how he said it.
and then he said the same thing about Douglas. That was the Brooklyn versus Pittsburgh thing.
Yeah.
Just accept that, like, crowd. It's like anything, man. You watch TV show, crowds gonna like different characters.
Yeah.
Not everyone. The good guy doesn't always have to be good, and the bad guy doesn't always have to be bad. I mean, you can still use babyface heel tactics. It's just don't make them, just have them be characters. And then sometimes you'll get a guy who absolutely everybody fucking hates, and then he could do the heel shit. If that makes any sense.
It absolutely does. I think
Because
that-
AJ Styles by being like that super clean cut dude, and he's also like doing spinning kicks, landing on their head and kicking them in the face. Some people are gonna fucking hate him because he's a super clean cut dude, no matter how good he is in the ring.
I see your point. I don't think he was at any risk of becoming a John Cena type for a couple of reasons. Part of the problem with John Cena is he's it can be very boring within the ring. It's a very similar match all the time. AJ Styles doesn't ever let himself get that way. That being said, I will say the advantage.
I just mean that like he's.
Hang on.
Sorry.
Shut the fuck up.
Whore.
The career he's enjoying now is a direct result of him being unable to, like, him being kind of misused in TNA, because if he was pushed to the top and was the blue chipper amazing sort of like, remember guys, America, it's for everyone if you're white or black. He wouldn't be able to do what he's doing in Japan now, and wouldn't be sort of the indie darling, and eventually get pushed to go to the WWE and show up there at some point in the next 5 years. I don't think he'll end up in a wheelchair. If he was going to be in a wheelchair, it would have happened already. So I think that it's simply going to be one of those things where he'll end up in the Fed in, I'm going to say, the next 5 years very briefly as a way to get a retirement. And that's going to be about it. But we're never going to get
He'll end up in like NXT.
He'll end up in NXT, but we'll never get AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio Jr. Even Rey of the last 5 years would still be a fucking cool match to see. You know what I mean? Like, there's those certain things.
Hey, you stick him up against the high flyers. Like when Rob Van Dam came to TNA,
Yeah.
that's the match everyone was like. I mean, at least I was like, oh, cool. The two like guys from different generations who did just high spot matches. I mean, AJ's obviously better than Rob Van Dam. He can fucking actually wrestle. He's not just a series of high spots by a guy who's visibly on drugs. But the thing about AJ that I think was about like John Cena is just that he's super corny. Like, he just doesn't have that promo ability. It was never in-ring stuff. But the way, no matter how TNA booked him, whenever they booked him as a babyface, he at least was always serious. Just because it's very apparent why he could have been a great John Cena to like a cruiserweight John Cena, because he had the same type of character, like clean cut good guy, but he pulls his off in the ring as well as John Cena does on the microphone. Like Cena's for all the fucking things people say about him, like Cena's an amazing promo. He always has been. Everyone always makes fun of him because of his dumb. The dumb fucking shit he has to say, but that's just what he has to say.
We've said it on another episode. The thing with John Cena, and we actually can't now review John Cena because we've talked about him enough on a lot of episodes. The thing with John Cena...
No, we're only we're doing it because I need to set some things straight.
Yeah, I really like John Cena. The thing, people go, John Cena's promos are repetitive, and you're like, you're right. So are Steve Austin's, The Rock's, and every wrestler who's good at promos. They have.
Oh, and here's the other thing about John Cena. Don't boo him because kids like him, you fucking monsters.
Yeah, the other thing is he's not for you. Wrestling is a traded company. I think him being the U.S. champion and him trotting out is good. I think he could have lost a little bit more. And yeah, he made some fucking mistakes, but Triple H is a lot more to blame for the state of wrestling within that company and wrestling as a whole than John Cena ever has, because John Cena's not in charge. He's a fucking dude who walks out there, throws his t-shirt in the ring, and hangs out. I don't know why they gave him the fucking springboard stunner, but he didn't walk in there and be like, yo guys, here's what I want. The most recognizable move, but I want to do something incredibly awkward right before. In the same way that
I always barely hit this move.
Yeah. I think that the other thing that needs to be pointed out with John Cena, and it will bring me back to AJ Styles, is that John Cena has been able to do something that AJ Styles never was able to do. Is John Cena has been able to be a pivotal. Whether you like him more than
Pivotable?
Fuck you.
Is that how you say that word? Big head?
Suck my ass.
Ooh.
He's been able to be a pivotal character within the WWE, and love him or hate him, when he's in that spot, he'll do something that you're at least like, fine, I get it. AJ Styles, if not used properly, can't do that. I.e., the Ric Flair situation when they were up against the Main Event Mafia, how they positioned the Main Event Mafia against the TNA originals. AJ Styles looked like a bag of shit because he couldn't, because he's done all that high-flying maneuver and stuff like that, he couldn't necessarily get the sympathy, and they also allowed himself to be portrayed as like, he's a little guy. What's he going to do against Scott Steiner? What he should do is run into the ring, bounce off the ropes, and kick Scott Steiner in his dumb freak-loving face.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me say this about Scott Steiner. I hope he's dead. I hate him. He is
What?
the worst wrestler.
No, he's not.
The worst promo. He's freakish looking.
Save it for another episode.
No, shut up.
No, we gotta save this
shut
for another episode because I disagree. I disagree. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Are all the freaks here? Hey,
I got freaks and I got peaks.
I'm a big bad voodoo daddy.
I'm a big bad voodoo daddy.
What did he call himself?
I'm a real big fish.
That's what Scott Steiner didn't he call himself, the big bad booty daddy? Or
Yeah. But you said big bad voodoo daddy.
Isn't that a band?
Yes, it's a ska band.
You know who else likes ska? AJ Styles brought it back. Can we also talk about the one other weird thing that they did in TNA? Were you watching it when him and Christopher Daniels just were a tag team for a bit?
Yeah.
That was because they were like the fucking they were the Andre the Giant and the Hulk Hogan of TNA X Division, in that one of them was the bad guy and the other one was the good guy.
There was definitely a point where, it's just talking about TNA for that long is he should have. I feel like AJ Styles.
Are you kind of angry now? Because I'm like, you think about TNA and you're like, you wasted it. Like, they had all this bacon right before bacon became like incredibly popular, and everyone's like, can I have some bacon on this cum? And they fucked it up. Like, they fucked it. Samoa Joe went there, I was literally like, WWE, start fucking packing your boxes, fuckos. And then when Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, I was hopeful. I was like, you know what? They can't be that. Oh my God, it's that bad.
It's very YOLO funny. AJ Styles in the Kurt Angle match where he turns, he goes to Ric Flair. Hulk Hogan still makes the match about himself because there's like a tail of the tape because this is a real wrestling match. And then one of the parts of the tails of the tape is Hogan picked these guys, and then the next one is Hogan runs the company now. So, it's just what it is he's the ultimate team player, and he's not the ultimate team player. I don't know the man personally, but from what I get, he okay.
And he says you're great.
Ooh, but it seems like he's just an agreeable guy who's like, yes, sir. And then
he treats wrestling like it's a factory job. Sometimes he makes a product he uses. Other times he's like putting moldable gel in fucking plastic pussies, and he's just like, well, you know what? It puts 3 hots on the plate for my 3 kids named AJ, Avery, and Addison. I think there's his 3 kids' names.
Please tell me that's true.
They all have. I know it's all A names.
So it's like George Foreman?
He's like George Foreman in many ways, one that he's black.
Nice.
The other thing to bring up is the Aces and Eights angle. I don't know if you were watching TNA during the Aces and Eights angle.
I wasn't. I haven't watched TNA since 2006 or 7, but I also kept up on it. Yeah, Bubba Ray was led a biker gang.
It was supposed to be way better, actually, because it was originally going to be Eric Bischoff v. Hulk Hogan for the first time ever. And that's how they were going to do it. And they were bringing in a bunch of guys from other indie
that
wrestlers.
Sounds so good.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yeah.
It's better than fucking what they ended up with, which is just basically a really shitty Dudley Boys reunion and a muscular Bubba Ray Dudley fucking Brooke Hogan.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. But I will say this. I did watch some Bully Ray from that time, and it was fucking awesome.
Bully Ray was the best part of that, but they didn't need to do the whole thing to just have fucking Bully Ray become the fucking kingpin. He could have just walked in and been like, Hulk Hogan, your dick cheese, go fuck your mother. And then it was just so unnecessary. Even more unnecessary is when they had AJ Styles essentially being the Sting, to the point that one of the times, I think this is when Mike Tenay was still a commentator, and he said he might want to go to Sting for advice. He's been in a similar situation before. Essentially being like, because they were like, AJ Styles is obviously in the Aces and Eights. Is he or isn't he? And he refused to give his decision because people kept forcing him to. It was so fucking stupid.
But the thing was, the great thing I liked about it was that they had like, AJ Styles doesn't have a contract. Who's he going to go to? TNA or Aces and Eights? Turns out, New Japan Pro Wrestling, because he just legit didn't have a contract, and he was like, all right, see you guys. Like, that's how he left.
Yeah, that is how he left. It was. I didn't think the TNA was going to survive with that, because it's like, what the fuck?
Oh, TNA would survive without him. I don't know what the TNA fan base is like, but yeah, there's people who will just watch TNA if it was just like TNA Wrestling presents Dylan sitting on a couch. Be like, oh, where's this gonna go? Is badass Billy Gunn gonna turn up and sit on the couch with him?
Kip. His name's Kip.
Maybe the couch turns out to be Norman Smiley. I don't understand it.
I hope that couch ends up being in Fortune.
But that's the thing. Like, at least, I mean, for all the fucking dumb shit that WWE has done over the last...
it does not compare to what TNA's done, which is impressive. Do you know how many times there's been fake marriages on TNA involving Brooke Hogan? At least 2.
It's the last year of WCW, but for the past 9 years. Like, it's insane.
But it's also like, you could have learned from all the good things WCW did. The Dungeon of Doom. That's it.
They tried the Dungeon of Doom.
When did they try the Dungeon of Doom?
James Mitchell with the Abyss and all those other guys, yeah.
And also Ravensbury faction, where he had what the fuck did he call it? The magic
The Nest.
No, it wasn't called Raven's Nest. It was called something even worse. Like, it was like,
oh yeah, it was just that. What's the fucking word? It's an S word.
It was called like Ecstasy or like Schism. Oh, it was fucking awful. And they all had weird fluorescent paint. Oh, it was so douchey.
Oh, so good.
It was called like Scarabs.
Scarabs?
It was TNA, because TNA also overdoes it with the laser entrances because they can't afford pyro. So it's literally just like, oh no, it's Scarabs. Oh, what were the... Serotonin. I think
yeah, it was serotonin.
It was serotonin.
Oh, God, what a fucking loser thing.
And yet Bullet Club kind of pisses me off as a name for something too, by the way.
But that's Japan. They have like every time someone's like, "Oh man, Japanese wrestling's so good." These two guys are fighting over the Open the Freedom Gate Championship.
Yeah.
That's the Miracle Violence connection. Like, it's just the Japanglish
and
stuff
in this
is
corner,
so good.
he is the greatest country, nation, go for everyone. Let's have fun. Champion of the world. AJ Styles, best thing about him.
Kento Kobashi versus a crying baby. The baby is sick. Kobashi, chop the baby. The baby dead. Kobashi sniffed the baby's poopy diaper. Poor Kobashi coming, no. Now that's racism.
Favorite thing about best thing about AJ Styles?
Sports entertainment extreme sex. Sorry, I'm just reading TNA faction names now. Oh, the best thing about
Do not go through, because sex also goes back to AJ Styles, because he was he the secret leader of sex? Here's the answer. No, it was Vince Russo. It's one of the worst angles. Oh, fuck you, Vince. You're the worst. Do you think Vince Russo...
He did some good stuff.
Vince Russo approved that if WCW had continued, they were planning for an alien invasion angle where just on a Monday Nitro, because Disco Inferno ended up being the assistant booker, and he was like, we'll do an episode where aliens invade Nitro, and they were like, "Yep, we're gonna do that."
I love that.
And that got to Disco Inferno. Then got interviewed to work in creative in WWF, and he was about to get the job. And someone who was there in the last days of WCW was like, "Vince, just to let you know, this was his idea," and they just, "No, you're fired."
You're pre-fired.
Yeah, just to let you know, the answer is no.
That's so good. I'd say that. All right, so I want to say the best thing about AJ Styles
Would be his membership in Sports Entertainment Extreme.
Yeah.
Just end the podcast on
his hair and his booty. No, obviously it's the fact that not only is it like all amazing wrestlers, he has his own style.
His own styles.
He has his own styles of doing it. And just not only does he do the high flying move, not only does he do the high flying move, but he does I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's legit, he wrestles like a fucking superhero. He's an absolutely fantastic wrestler, probably the best wrestler of the last 10 years. Everybody was like, CM Punk's the best wrestler. I was like, that motherfucker can't move shit. He gonna lose in the UFC. I called it because. And the worst thing about him is obviously his promos. It's 2000. It's well into the 2000 century.
Yes, good
and
for you.
He's still pulling dicks out of his ass. Like he's like a Ken Patera level promo.
Oh,
I am mad at you, and you are bad, and I am bad too now, 'cause you stole thing from me. This is a competition
I can't believe
of fighting, and then we're kicking too. I'm gonna surf to the ring.
This Ken Pantera impression.
I frost my tips. I am a nice boy, and I wear seashell necklaces, and then I ditched that and started wearing batting gloves.
Yeah, it's just, I want to go to the shops that wrestlers shop in, where it's just like fanny packs and needless necklaces. Yeah, hi, do you have any silver bedazzled jewelry a man could wear around his neck when he's on an airplane? Do I?
I wear tights pretty much all day and on TV, so I'm very comfortable with myself in a creepy way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee wrestlers dress like people who have group sex all the time. It's just this weird,
Hello, Mark's Work Warehouse. Do you have any of those pants Joey Botafuco was wearing? When he got a Zumba pants. Yes, please. I like some of those. Can I wear them with some Doc Martens but no socks? Great. I'm going to a winterish country, so I'm going to need a hoodie. Don't worry, I'll have a mullet haircut that will be unexplained.
Where'd you get that hat? Oh, actually, I got it at Foot Locker. Okay, I have a drawing of your penis in my mind. I'm about to share it with you telepathically. I know what your penis.
What is this act out of exactly? And how does that?
I feel like wrestlers have seen so many naked people that they can just look at your jeans and be like, "Here's your penis," and you're like, "How did you know?" Like, I've seen them all, and then they fade into the darkness.
Who do you think has the tastiest penis in wrestling?
Am I a wrestler? Yes, I am. Me.
All right. So worst thing about
his promos. Ooh. He's just super cheesy. Not to say it's bad. It's fucking wrestling, but it's super cheesy. He's gotten better.
In Japan, but that doesn't discount WCW.
As part of Air Raid?
Is that the name of the tag team?
I think it was Air Raid.
I thought he wasn't part of 3 Count. What the fuck was he?
He came in right at the end
Yeah,
as
he
they
was there for,
as
the
they
last
did the
few
cruiserweight tag team division.
Who the fuck came up with that? Hey, we're companies going out of business. What should we do?
New titles.
Yeah, something that worked 10 years ago. Let's do that, but with more people. Get me the Natural Born Thrillers.
They were just trying everything.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Let's take this nerd thing from Japan people will like, and everyone has a real knife.
Some other things that I didn't realize. Styles has performed in the WWE.
Yeah, it was a job match, bud.
2002. I had no idea. Yes, he was in Air Raid with someone named Paris. Either way.
Air Paris.
Air Paris, and they lost in the first round of the WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Championship Tournament to Elix Skipper and Kid Romeo. You know who I want to kiss? AJ Styles. I would say AJ.
He's not the smartest guy, but he is the bestest guy. Thanks very much for listening. We're all in love with you. We'll get more respect from our friends and family this way. Can you fuck us like you're our dads? Bye-bye. Oh, you gotta delete this now. You gotta delete the whole episode.
What another stellar episode we've done. Right, Dylan?
Yes, no meandering whatsoever.
No, very much on point. Now, let's get back to the important business at hand. You want to read about us, you can go to our website, which is
angelfire.thewrestlerreview.com. Real. That's a real thing. Go sign our guest book. We have a weather page. You can see what the weather's like in one city.
Which city?
London.
Good. And then you can follow us on Twitter at @TheJohnHastings.
At Dylan Gott, DYLANGO, double up that T. And we're going to create one for the show called The Wrestler Review.
We already have. I always forget that we have that Twitter account already. Follow the show on Twitter at The Wrestler Review.
We'll retweet the thing, so just follow us. It's all nebulous. Anyway, I love all of you.
I love you.
As people and as lovers, we are all one. We are Ouroboros. We are a human centipede.
This stings too long.